I still remember the exact shade of mahogany on the boardroom table where my father destroyed my dreams. It was 10 years ago, but the memory remains as sharp as broken glass. Absolutely not, he said, pushing my business proposal aside without even reading past the first page. Alexandra, this is a waste of everyone's time. I was 25, armed with an MBA from Harvard and 5 years of experience in tech startups. The proposal I'd spent months perfecting lay discarded like yesterday's newspaper. Dad, if you just look at the numbers. That's enough. His voice carried that familiar note of disappointment. This is a board meeting, not a family dinner. Address me as Mr. Harrison. Around the table, the other board members shifted uncomfortably. They'd known me since I was a child running through these halls, back when Harrison Technologies was still a small family business instead of a Fortune 500 company. Mr. Harrison, I corrected myself, fighting to keep my voice steady, the tech industry is evolving. If we don't adapt our manufacturing process to include. What do you know about manufacturing? He cut me off again. You've spent the last 5 years playing around with those Silicon Valley startups. This is a real company with real responsibilities. I stood my ground. Those playing around experiences taught me where the industry is heading. We need to pivot towards sustainable technology and AI integration, or we'll be obsolete within a decade. My father laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Listen to her, obsolete. Harrison Technologies has been the leading manufacturer of industrial equipment for 30 years. We didn't get here by chasing every new trend. Times are changing, I pressed. Our competitors are already. Enough. He slammed his hand on the table. You're not cut out for this business, Alexandra. You never have been. Always with your head in the clouds, always thinking you know better than people with decades of experience. The words hit like physical blows, but I refused to show it. Is that your professional opinion, Mr. Harrison, or just a father's disappointment? His face hardened. Both. Your proposal is denied. And I think it's time we discussed your position here. My position? Clearly, the role of innovation director isn't suitable for you. Perhaps something in public relations would be more appropriate for your skills. And there was the final insult. He wanted to demote me to PR, where I could smile prettily at cameras and stay out of the real business decisions. I looked around the table at the men who'd watched me grow up. None of them would meet my eyes. They were all too invested in keeping my father happy, too afraid of losing their comfortable positions. I see. I straightened my spine, gathering my dignity around me like armor. In that case, I quit. Don't be dramatic, he scoffed. Where else would you go? Who else would hire someone with your limited experience? I picked up my proposal, tucking it carefully into my briefcase. I guess I'll have to figure that out for myself. Alexandra, he called as I reached the door, if you walk out now, don't expect any help from me. No connections, no recommendations, nothing. I turned back one last time. Don't worry, Dad. I won't need them. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the city lights through my window. 10 years of trying to prove myself to my father, of trying to earn a place in his company, had led to this moment. My phone buzzed. A message from my younger brother Thomas. Dad's furious. Says you're making a huge mistake. Maybe if you apologize. I didn't bother replying. Thomas had always been Dad's golden child, the one who followed all the rules, never questioned the old ways of doing things. He'd probably take my position now, keep everything safely in the status quo. Instead of wallowing, I opened my laptop and pulled up a document I'd been working on for months. A business plan I'd never shown my father. While he thought I was playing around in Silicon Valley, I'd actually been building connections, studying market trends, and developing something revolutionary. Phoenix Industries would combine cutting-edge technology with sustainable manufacturing processes. Everything my father had dismissed as trendy nonsense would be at its core. I had savings, some investments, and most importantly, I had the knowledge my father thought was worthless. Silicon Valley had taught me more than just technology. It had taught me how to build something from nothing. The next morning, I withdrew every penny from my bank accounts and resigned my position on Harrison Technologies' board. My father didn't even attend the exit meeting. You're making a mistake, the HR director told me kindly. Your father will come around eventually. I smiled, thinking of the meetings I already had lined up with potential investors. No, he won't. But that's okay. I'm not doing this for him anymore. The first year was brutal. I worked out of a tiny office, sleeping on a couch most nights because I'd poured every cent into the business. My father made sure word got around that I'd had a breakdown, warning his business associates away from my unstable venture. But he'd underestimated what I'd learned in Silicon Valley. I had friends there, brilliant minds who'd been dismissed by old-school businessmen just like my father. They became my first partners, helping me refine my technology and attract serious investors. 18 months after walking out of Harrison Technologies, Phoenix Industries launched its first product line. Our sustainable manufacturing process caught the attention of major tech companies. Orders started pouring in. I kept tabs on Harrison Technologies through industry news. They were still doing things the old way, still resistant to change. Their stock price held steady, but their market share was slowly eroding. Thomas called occasionally, always with the same message: "Dad's willing to forgive you if you come back. He might even give you your old job." I always gave the same response: "I'm not interested in his forgiveness. I'm interested in the future." 5 years passed. Phoenix Industries expanded rapidly, acquiring smaller companies and innovating constantly. We became known as the company that could spot market trends before they happened. I never put my face on our marketing materials or gave interviews. Let the world think Phoenix Industries was run by some mysterious tech genius. The anonymity gave me freedom to build without my father's shadow looming over me. Then came the day I'd been secretly waiting for. My assistant handed me a news report. Harrison Technologies stock had dropped 30% overnight. Their biggest client had jumped ship, citing their failure to adapt to modern manufacturing requirements. My father's outdated methods had finally caught up with him. That afternoon Thomas called again. But this time his voice held none of its usual smugness. "Lex," he said, using my childhood nickname for the first time in years, "we're in trouble. Real trouble. Dad's looking for buyers, but no one's interested in our outdated facilities." I watched the sunset paint the sky orange through my office window. "That sounds serious." "There's a rumor," he continued hesitantly, "that Phoenix Industries might be interested. Their CEO is known for turning around struggling manufacturers." I smiled, thinking of the proposal my father had dismissed 10 years ago. Every warning I'd given him had come true. "Is that so?" I kept my voice neutral. Could you maybe reach out to them? You've got connections in the tech world. We really need this." I thought about that mahogany boardroom table, about my father's dismissive laugh, about all the years of being told I wasn't cut out for business. "I'll see what I can do," I said finally. After hanging up, I called my assistant. "Set up a meeting with Harrison Technologies board for tomorrow morning. Don't tell them who's coming. Just say it's Phoenix Industries CEO." "The full board?" she asked. "Yes," I smiled. "I want everyone there. Especially Mr. Harrison." Tomorrow I would walk into that boardroom again. But this time I wouldn't be the one seeking approval. How quickly things change in 10 years. The next morning I stood outside Harrison Technologies headquarters, studying the building that had once been my second home. The company logo looked faded, like everything else about my father's empire. My assistant Maria handed me a tablet with the latest figures. "Their stock dropped another 5% this morning. The market knows they're desperate." I smiled, smoothing down my custom-tailored suit. No more department store bargains like the old days. "Is everyone here?" "Full board attendance. Your father's been there since dawn, trying to prepare for the mysterious CEO of Phoenix Industries." The security guard did a double take when I walked in. He'd known me since I was a teenager. "Miss Harrison?" I thought Phoenix Industries was coming." "They are," I replied simply, heading for the elevator. The boardroom looked exactly the same. That mahogany table still gleamed, though the faces around it had aged. My father sat at the head, his hair now more gray than black, tension evident in every line of his face. Thomas jumped up when I walked in. "Lex? What are you doing here?" "We're waiting for an important meeting." "I know." I took my time walking to the front of the room, Maria following with our presentation materials. "Phoenix Industries CEO is here." The silence that followed was deafening. My father's face went through a series of emotions: confusion, disbelief, anger, and finally something that looked almost like fear. "This is a joke," he managed finally. You can't be." Alexandra Chen, CEO and founder of Phoenix Industries. I introduced myself formally. Shall we begin? That's impossible, Thomas sputtered. Phoenix Industries is worth billions. They're the leading innovator in sustainable manufacturing. They're everything I told you we needed to become 10 years ago, I finished for him. Please everyone take your seats. We have a lot to discuss. My father remained frozen, staring at me like he was seeing a ghost. You're lying. This is some kind of trick. I nodded to Maria, who activated the room's presentation screen. My credentials, Phoenix Industries financial statements, and acquisition history filled the display. As you can see, Phoenix Industries has experienced significant growth over the past decade. Our market capitalization currently stands at $12.4 billion. Last quarter alone, we acquired 3 major manufacturers and successfully modernized their operations. The board members were all staring at the numbers, their faces pale. These were men who'd dismissed me, who'd nodded along with my father's decision to demote me to PR. Now, I continued, taking out my old proposal from 10 years ago, let's talk about Harrison Technologies. Your manufacturing processes are outdated, your technology is at least 2 generations behind, and your market share has dropped 45% in the past 5 years. We've been in business for 30 years, my father interrupted, finally finding his voice. We don't need a lecture from who, Dad? Your daughter? The one who wasn't cut out for business. I met his eyes directly. Or from the CEO of the only company that might be able to save yours? He fell silent. I laid out Phoenix Industries' offer. The terms were fair but strict: complete modernization of their facilities, replacement of outdated technology, and significant management changes. Of course, I added, watching my father's face carefully, this offer is contingent on leadership changes. The board would need to vote on a new CEO. Thomas leaned forward. I could. No, I cut him off. Phoenix Industries will appoint its own leadership team. My father stood up, his face red. You planned this. All these years, you've been waiting to take over. I laughed, the sound echoing in the tense room. You think I built a multi-billion-dollar company just to get revenge? That's the difference between us, Dad. You always thought business was about power, about proving something. I built Phoenix Industries because I saw the future of manufacturing, and you were too proud to listen. And now you want to humiliate me? He demanded. No, I said softly. I want to save the company you spent 30 years building. The only question is whether your pride is worth more than Harrison Technologies' survival. The board members exchanged glances. They knew the truth. Without this deal, the company wouldn't last another year. I won't work for my daughter, my father declared. You won't have to, I assured him. Your retirement package is quite generous. Think of it as a chance to finally relax, play golf, do all those things you never had time for while you were busy doubting me. Thomas stood up. This isn't fair. You can't just walk in here and... Life isn't fair, little brother. Isn't that what Dad always told us? I turned to the board. You have 24 hours to accept our offer. After that, we'll move on to other opportunities. I gathered my things, preparing to leave. But I had one last thing to say. Oh, and Dad, remember when you said I wasn't cut out for business? I smiled, watching him shrink in his chair. I guess we finally know who was wrong about that. The next day, Harrison Technologies' board voted overwhelmingly to accept Phoenix Industries' offer. My father abstained, but it didn't matter. The company he'd built, the empire he'd been so proud of, was now part of mine. I kept my word about his retirement package. He and my mother now live comfortably in Florida, though he still won't take my calls. Thomas eventually accepted a middle management position in one of our smaller divisions, where his conventional thinking can't do too much damage. As for me, I moved Harrison Technologies' headquarters to a new building. That mahogany boardroom table was the first thing to go. 1 year later, I stood on stage accepting the Industry Innovation Award. The presenter read out my biography, highlighting how I'd built Phoenix Industries from nothing into a global leader. In the audience, I spotted my father. He'd come after all, though he hadn't RSVP'd. He looked older, smaller somehow, without his CEO title to hide behind. Success in business isn't about maintaining the status quo, I said in my acceptance speech. It's about having the courage to see the future and the determination to build it, even when others doubt you. I saw him flinch, recognizing his own words thrown back at him. After the ceremony, he approached me for the first time in a year. I was wrong, he said simply. I studied him. This man I'd spent so many years trying to please, whose approval had once meant everything to me. Yes, I agreed. You were. Can we try to fix things? I thought about it. On one condition. Anything. Stop telling people I'm your daughter who runs a company. Start telling them you're my father who used to run one. He nodded slowly, understanding at last how completely our roles had reversed. Now if you'll excuse me, I said, checking my phone, I have a company to run. Several, actually. Later that night, alone in my office, I took out my old business proposal. The one he'd dismissed without reading. Its pages were worn now, but the vision it contained had built an empire. I had it framed and hung it in my office, right next to Phoenix Industries' first dollar of profit. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't proving others wrong. It's proving yourself right. The business world still speculates about how a young woman built such a powerful company so quickly. They don't know about those nights sleeping on an office couch, about the years of being dismissed and doubted, about the father who thought his daughter wasn't cut out for business. They don't need to know. Success speaks for itself, and mine echoes louder than any doubts ever could. Last week, a young woman came to pitch her ideas to me. She reminded me of myself, eager, innovative, maybe a little naive. But her eyes held that same fire, that same determination to prove herself. I read every page of her proposal. Then I looked at her and said the words I wish my father had said to me. Let's build the future together. Because that's what real business leaders do. They don't crush dreams, they help build them. Me. I'm exactly where I always knew I could be, at the head of the table, running my empire, proving that being cut out for business isn't about gender or age or family connections. It's about vision, determination, and the courage to walk away from those who don't believe in you, even if they're family. Especially if they're family. My father still comes to our annual shareholders' meetings. He sits quietly in the back, watching as I present our latest innovations and growth figures. Sometimes I catch him smiling proudly, though he tries to hide it. Last month he sent me an email, the first personal message in years. Attached was a photo of that old boardroom, taken the day he'd dismissed my proposal. You saw what I couldn't, he wrote. I was too busy protecting the past to see the future standing right in front of me. I didn't reply. Some lessons don't need acknowledgement, they just need to be learned. Phoenix Industries continues to grow, but now I make sure to read every proposal that crosses my desk. Because somewhere out there, another dreamer is waiting for someone to believe in them. And I know exactly how that feels.